Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Matt Johnson. We're here with a special Facebook Live broadcast. We've got a couple of great guests, but I have Mike LaFido here because we're launching the Luxury Listing Specialist podcast. It is on iTunes right now. It was approved this morning, so everyone can go find it, download it, and subscribe to it right now. We did a first episode on the misconceptions about luxury and high-end real estate, and today we're going to talk about how to generate and convert high-end listing leads with authority marketing, and we're especially talking about books. All the gentlemen that I have on the call with us today have all written books that build themselves up as experts in the luxury or high-end space. We're going to talk to each of them about the process, how they incorporate it into their listing conversion process, and we've got a lot of cool stuff to get into, guys. So let's start with Michael LaFido, my co-host for this and the official host of the podcast. How's it going, man?
Hey, it's going great. Thank you.
Good, man. So we got a lot of stuff to get into. Let me bring in our other two guests here real quick, and then we'll dive into the stuff on books. So let's welcome in first Erik Brown. Erik, tell us kind of where you're at and where you come from.
Yeah, so I'm originally from the Midwest, the Minneapolis area, and within the past 2 years, I relocated a business into the Beverley Hills, Los Angeles market.
Very, very, very cool. And then Rod Watson, let everybody know kind of where you're at and what your specialty is.
Yeah, I'm originally from Houston, Texas, but I reside in San Diego, California. I'm married. I'm going on my 14th year with my wife. I have 3 daughters. And I actually have just entered into the Beverly Hills market as well, right off of Wilshire Boulevard in Los Angeles. So we're working a niche market in sports and talent. I was just named the director at Telus Property. So my focus is more around my passions and previous experience in sports.
Very, very cool. All right, awesome, guys. So, Mike, give us an idea, just real quick, of the background of your book and how you incorporated it into your process.
Yeah, so my book is titled Marketing Luxury, and it's written towards the consumers because there's so many part-time agents out there, agents that aren't successful. Matter of fact, our real estate board today, I just came across the data from 2016, and 74% of agents in my multiple listing service and our board, which has over 16,000 agents, we're one of the top 5 largest real estate boards in the U.S. 74% of agents have sold 10 or less houses. So many times when you're talking about higher end homes, you know, maybe it's someone that a homeowner works out at the health club or they play tennis, but they might list their home with an agent that isn't using cutting edge strategies to market these houses, because most marketplaces, the $1 million plus market is definitely a buyer's market. There's a lot of inventory. So my book is really geared towards the consumer and giving great tips and ideas so that the seller is empowered so that they can make the right hire when they're interviewing in their respected marketplace.
All right, so when do sellers come across the book in the process of hiring Michael to sell their home? Like, are they coming in because of the book? Are they coming in, do you send it to them as part of the listing process? Or is it just on your website as a credibility indicator?
Sure. So we make it available on our website, a landing page where, you know, I'll give them instant download, but we'll physically send it to them as well, whether they interview us or not. But so we're sending it out to prospective sellers. And of course, if they actually open it and read it, they're going to realize that our systems are different. And, you know, hopefully they'll give us a call to interview us.
Okay, cool. And Erik, let's turn to you a little bit, because if anybody's seen your episode of Real Estate Uncensored, we went really deep on your process and the book and the shock and awe package. I would love for you to share, first of all, what your book and what the angle is and who the market is there, and then how you incorporate it into your listing process.
Yeah, so very similar to what Mike described. I wrote specifically to the consumer. There's, on a little different angle though, there's 1.5 million real estate agents in the country, and not all of them necessarily are equal in what they do. Just like Mike had mentioned with luxury property, which I found to be the same. So I wrote a book that's called 1 in a Million, and it is geared towards how a consumer can select the best real estate agent and what type of traits to look for. And so we, like Mike, we do the same thing. I use it in essence as a business card. So every lead that we have qualified on an entry level, not pre-approved, not signed with us, they've answered some preliminary questions, we send them a copy of the book, and then we've run the ROI on how many books that we'll send out and what our cost to print and our cost to mail is. And then we figure that cost against the potential commission that we will receive against those clients, and the numbers are pretty phenomenal. One other piggyback too is a book, and I'm sure we're going to touch on this, lends such credence to you as an expert. And that's why all three of us are doing it, because it gives us the ability to not be a commodity, not be one of the 1.5 million real estate agents.
Yeah, very true. And then, Rod, are you taking kind of the same angle? You've got a book coming out next month.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Same approach. This book was written directed towards the consumer. My book is The Secret of the Wealthy Home Seller. Hopefully you guys can see it there. And it was more, I took action in writing the book more to set myself apart, from the competition, to actually educate and inform and empower sellers about past experience, case studies from certain approaches to set your home apart. As we know, even though two homes can be exactly the same in floor plan, et cetera, no two homes are alike. So it's really sharing tips and ways to differentiate, themselves, the property, ways to get the home sold quicker, to earn more money, things to avoid, little things from curb appeal. So I just shared best practices in this book, and I really use it as a way to get my foot in the door, separate myself from other agents out there as far as how we market the property. It's more or less a conversation starter. It gets the conversation started. It separates you from everyone else, who oftentimes they think we all do the same thing in this business, and we don't. And even sometimes they're not really sure what we do. They think more or less we might just put a sign in the yard and a lockbox on the door, and it's like hope that the house sells. So in this book, we really clearly outline how we work different from the competition.
Okay. And so besides being something you can bring up in conversation if you're talking to a potential client, like how else do you plan on incorporating it into like the process of how somebody hires Rod Watson?
Exactly. So what we're doing, my team and I, we work shifts. So we work 2-hour call blocks. So we circle dial around past sold properties throughout the day. And then once we get a hit where we have someone that has interest, what we often do is ask if it would be okay if we drop off a book in one of our pre-listing packages, kind of like to create that introduction so they can get a feel for who we are, what we do. It doesn't matter if they're 6 months, 8 months out. We want to start that process now, because at some point when they get ready to make that decision, it's us we want them to call, because they clearly understand, the services that we provide and how we're going to benefit them in getting their home sold. So what I do is I put together a packet and I include our pre-listing packet, the book, and a nice friendly letter, and let them know we'll also be following up with them with more information about our services. And we go out, we knock on the door. If they're not home, we leave the packet behind, and then we follow up the next day.
Very cool. And Erik, you want to share kind of how you incorporate your shock and awe package and where that sits into the process, how people are receiving that package, all that good stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So similar to what Rod described, we'll start with the book as a mailing piece. And then depending on how that lead is then nurtured, if they're ready for the next step, either right prior to a meeting or physically at the meeting, we have this package, a big gifting package, which we refer to as shock and awe. For any of you Dan Kennedy followers out there, it's a concept that he had implemented in his businesses. And in it, we have additional white paper, but we also have a very nice leather binder, a very nice pen. We have a CD that is an interview of how you select an agent. We include a local good, like typically we're using candy from C's Candies. It's a local, well-known luxury candy shop here that's been around for 80 plus years. And so we combine that all in a package, which again, we use in essence as a differentiator.
Very cool. And then Mike, when in your process, how are they, like, do you have a separate pre-listing package? Is the book kind of acting as your pre-listing package, or what do you do for sellers like before they meet with you for a listing presentation?
Sure. Yeah. So I have, I call it kind of my rock star package. It's shock and awe, same idea. So we're putting in there everything from my book to my video book to print collateral materials of similar homes, price point similar to theirs. So if it's a $500,000 seller, I'm not going to put necessarily my $18.9 million, brochure in there. But again, we're trying to, it's proof of concept. We're trying to differentiate, have them pre-sold about us before they meet with us. So, I utilize, email videos like through BombBomb type services, and of course the physical shock and awe package with my book, my video book, and other collateral, so to speak.
Okay. Now I know, Mike, you showed me like some before and after stuff of especially high-end listings that were expired, and you show like examples of here were the pictures that were on the MLS. Now here's what happened when we relisted the home. Here's what the pictures and the videos look like after the fact. Guys, Rod and Erik, have you guys done anything like that to kind of show drastically the difference between what happens when you get a hold of the exact same house?
Yes.
Yeah. Is that something you would put in your pre-listing package? Is it something you go over like at a listing consultation? Either one?
Yeah. Actually, we have in our pre-listing packet, we give an example of a case study of a previous client who was unable to sell the property with the previous agent. And what we did is we came in and we focused on the attributes that we felt once we identified who the buyer was for that home, what would get their attention. So we focused on the positives, right? And then at that point, we showed how we came in and recommended certain things with the curb appeal be changed. Also with the photos, going with the high quality photos. Also, there was a room in the house that needed to be painted that for whatever reason they chose not to. And we showed the before and after photos. So we kind of just laid out the case study of here are things that didn't work, and here are the things that we implemented in the home sold in less than 20 days for $5,000 over asking price.
Nice. Very cool. And then Erik, let's turn back to you a little bit. And we talked about kind of what Rod's like starting point is for lead generation in terms of like calling around successful like home sales or listings or whatever the case is and doing circle prospecting. What are you doing in kind of the Beverly Hills area to kind of break in, since you really don't have, or at least you dropped into town essentially with no database? I'm curious, what are you doing to just generate the initial leads?
Yeah, so as agents, you can pick probably a couple of dozen different buckets that you want to start. And so our main bucket that we picked, and I say I've got 2 other agents that are on my team. We chose SEO and pay-per-click internet-based leads on a site that's called Commissions Inc. Very similar to Boomtown or any other sites that produce leads via the web. But we're just that much more intensive in the way that we do our follow-up. I use an inside sales agent that makes about 1,000 phone calls per week. Like Mike, I also use BombBomb Video, both in drip campaigns and then personalized messaging. We use the book, we use the shock and awe package, we use a text-based drip system. And so that has created a number of nurtures. We probably right now are carrying somewhere between 70 and 100 nurtured conversations. And then we're signing clients now pretty consistently. But the nurture period from when we started that, roughly 20 months ago, to today, it took 6 to 12 months before we really saw anything come of it.
Yeah, it makes sense. Mike, how about you? Where does your raw in leads come from typically?
Yeah, so first off, Erik, brought up a good point. It doesn't happen overnight. So Erik didn't give up right away. It took a while to help position himself in that marketplace, because that's one of the most common things I get asked when I speak on stages is, hey, Mike, if you were like Rod's originally from Houston. I was just down in Houston at the RE/MAX of Texas conference last week, and I get people ask, hey, if you were to come to my marketplace, what were the first few things you would do in a given market to establish yourself? And so, one of the things I talk about is creating a luxury networking group, right? So, the best way to get referrals is give referrals. So bring value to other business owners, people that cater to high net worth individuals. And again, so Matt, I know I've shared with you offline some of those ideas. So, from the Lamborghini dealership to, the perch. We have a perch here in Chicagoland. I know you guys got one out in California in the San Diego market. They got 18 complete kitchens and bathrooms. And so they're part of my networking group. So we get together on a monthly basis. We bring value. And that's probably the simplest, easiest way for an agent on a $0 budget that wants to break in with influencers and in the high net worth community. That's what I'd recommend. It's
funny that you mentioned the Lamborghini dealership. Isn't that that's your background, right, Rod? That's your wheelhouse.
Yeah, man, that's the playhouse. It's funny, the things you're sharing, I've taken the same approach. When I first started pursuing luxury sales, I was, having a little bit of a challenge. I was going on listing appointments and, I was having to really learn, how to separate myself and really execute the process of getting a listing at those price points. So what I did about 14 months ago is started a professional networking group with a partner. And we started going out and focusing on, influencers and other businesses that were highly successful all around our passions. And I also was hosting a radio show at the time. So I would bring those business owners onto my show and let them highlight, their businesses, their services, and tell their story. And at that time, I was able to build relationships with them. So I would invite them out to our networking events, which we would typically host them at luxury properties, high-end estates. So even though I didn't have listings, I would go to other agents and say, this is a great way, one, to get exposure to the property. You never know, the home could sell with someone that walks through the door that knows the next person that could afford this type of a home. So we created the professional network and started focusing on driving referrals from within that group. And here we are now almost a year later, and we're starting to build our pipeline from referrals that have started to come in. And also branding, people are now coming to us saying, hey, can you host an event at our property? And rather than worrying about, can I get a listing, which that was still my focus, I said, what other way can I build value and get referrals and then go to other listing agents and say, hey, here's a great way to get exposure to your property, and let's work together and see if we can get it sold. And it's turnkey. You don't have to pay for anything. We're bringing the people, and we're paying for the entire experience, food, drinks, and entertainment. So I found that to be a great way to break in, and it's really working well for us right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Very, very cool. And I was going to say, we're obviously connected on like Facebook and Instagram, so I see a lot of the posts of the stuff that you're doing. You're also doing. Yeah. Are you still hosting like the local TV show that's about San Diego?
Yeah, the TV show that my contract came to an end, and I found that obviously you don't make money in TV per se. It was more branding for me and building that awareness. But what I was able to do from doing that was attract attention from a lot of people that were, the influencers in our industry who were seeing my ads or seeing my posts, and these people actually have started to reach out to me and refer business, or even just, hey, you're top of mind when I do decide to, enter the market if I know when it's planning to sell. And the last thing we did is we started working and giving back. So I partnered with Rady Children's Hospital and from a philanthropy standpoint, hosted a charity event at the Beverley dealership because I love cars, right? I love high-end vehicles, and that was a great opportunity in doing that and supporting a local charity actually too. And we raised over $17,000 at that event. So that was great, and we gave all that money back to those charities. So that too helped me get exposure and build awareness in my marketplace.
Very cool. Well, I want to be sensitive to, go ahead, Mike.
Side benefits to everything that Erik and Rod is talking about as well is when you bring enough value and you position yourself as the leading authority, because you do what you say you're going to do. You over deliver basically. So it's not just smoke and mirrors. That eventually what happens is, of course, as you attract business versus chase it. And that's the key to be successful in this industry. Of course, you got to prospect, right? That's cold marketing, people that don't know you, like you, and trust you. But warm marketing is your database, your sphere, referrals, and attract versus chase is the name of the game, especially in the high net worth in the luxury marketplace.
Yeah, absolutely true. Well, I want to be sensitive to everyone's time. So, Rod, let's go back to you and let people know kind of how they can connect with you, and then when the book comes out and where they can go to get it.
Yeah, you can connect with me directly on Instagram. You can follow me at Rod Watson 23, or on my Facebook, Rod Watson, or you can contact me directly at 619-512-9120. My new book, The Secret of the Wealthy Home Sellers, will be out first week of March. Right now, we just have a few that came out. I'm actually going to be distributing these to people in our circle of influence, giving them a signed copy, getting their feedback, and asking them to share with other people that they know they feel that would be a benefit to. So you can connect with me that way, and I look forward to hopefully hearing from you, a lot of you guys.
Awesome. And then, Erik, same question for you.
Yeah, so like Rod, you can find me on Instagram. I'm the Erik Brown. Erik is with a K. My website is probably best to connect directly, which is www.erikrBrown.com. My book is 1 in a Million. It's how to find the best tips and tricks to find a real estate agent, which can be found on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or on my website.
Yeah, very cool. And the interesting thing about your book is it positions you both for your original, like your flagship team, which is still back in Minnesota, still running and smooth sailing, right? So it's not only hits just the luxury market, but just all of your, like it promotes everything, which is really cool. And then Mike, same question for you. Obviously, people can connect with the podcast on iTunes. Just search for the Luxury Listing Specialist. That is the name of the show. But Mike, how do people connect with you personally and even check out the book and all the good stuff that you've got going on?
Yeah, so again, the podcast is Luxury Listing Specialist, and I'm the founder of the Luxury Listing Specialist certification for real estate agents. We help agents break into and dominate marketing and successfully selling luxury homes in their marketplace. So they can go to luxurylistingspecialist.com, or you can send me an email at michael@marketingluxurygroup.com. Michael@marketingluxurygroup.com is probably the easiest way to email Matt.
Awesome, guys. Well, just want to thank you guys again, and thanks to everybody that was watching. You know, Greg and Brent and Helen and Marie and a bunch of other people that were watching live. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much to everyone that was here for this one. This was awesome. Exactly what I had in mind, guys. Thank you so much for your time, and everybody else. Make sure to check out the podcast. Make sure to connect with these guys. Follow them on Instagram. Check out what they're doing, because these are some of the most innovative guys that I've seen out there in the luxury market. What they're doing not only to brand themselves, but also to execute just the tactics of marketing that actually get high-end homes sold. They're doing it at a high level, so pay attention to what these guys are doing. Follow them, connect with them, meet them at conferences, and we'll see everybody next time on the next Facebook Live.
Congrats and congratulations, guys.
Hey, thanks, Rob.
Thanks.
Thanks, Erik.